In this video, I'm going to be taking my first shots with the Rock Island Armory VRBP 100. VR standing for whatever it does, and BP probably standing for bullpup. So, with all that said, this is in their Rock Island Armory imports section. So, this is from Turkey. It's from a company called RIA Arms. So, you can see that illustrated right yonder. And this is, some people have said in some of the reviews I've seen, it's basically the internal works of a different firearm, an SAS-12. That has yet to be seen by me as far as like what exactly they're talking about and maybe perceived advantages and disadvantages of carrying that system over into a bullpup platform. But regardless, this is my first magazine-fed semi-auto shotgun. So, gonna go and load it up here. It has AR-ish controls right here, and it has this little button right here, which is basically where the feed ramp actually turns. You can actually turn the feed ramp, and that releases the barrel and does a couple other things, basically like a magazine cutoff, if you will. So yeah, I can't really twist it right now, but yeah, we'll get into that in another video. But right now I'm just doing the break-in period, and I'm starting out with some federal game load. So this stuff is not really the hottest. It's going about 1,300 feet per second, which is pretty good. It comes stock with a light piston, a gas piston key on there, and it also comes with a heavy, but it's installed with the light one is already installed or installed. And then you have the improved choke, if I remember correctly. You have the improved or modified choke that's already installed, and I had to remove it for the basically the open choke, which makes it to where I can fire slugs. So anyways, with all that said, just gonna charge it here. It's not really too ambidextrous friendly, but yeah, and it works for me. I'm mostly a right-hander, so we'll see what it does here. Oh, a failure to basically eject. Yep, failure to eject. Not very high powered loads, so. Yeah, okay, so these are coming in kind of weak. I have the light piston in, and I have the basically the most open choke. So what I have here are 3 birdshot, basically game loads, and then I have 2 slugs, Hydroshock slugs from Federal. So you can release it, you can release the bolt one of 2 ways. You have an air-ish bolt release right here, or you can just tug on this, which is spring-loaded, non-reciprocating. So with this one, basically you have a magazine release on each side right here and right here. Basically you grab the magazine while you're pulling it out. Pretty intuitive to put it in, though you do kind of brush your knuckle up against here. So anyways, it's basically right up here, releases pretty easily. So anyways, let's go ahead and see how this does. Nope. Okay. Alright, I'm going to switch over to my amnesty corner. Yeah. Yep. Immediate problems right away. A failure to eject. So, let's see what we can do about that. So, pinched up the next one. Trying to go into the feed ramp. Not really. Not really gonna go. Okay, this thing got pinched pretty good. So, bad round. I'm not gonna tempt fate with a slug. So anyways, alright. So I'll go ahead and load up some more slugs. The recoil was not really that bad at all. Actually felt like a little bit less than my Remington 870. Let's just go ahead and run through the break-in and we'll see how many malfunctions I have. that weird? Now it's working alright, but it does require a break-in of at least 50 rounds. Maybe 100, I would say 100, 150. You're working with the recoil spring, you're working with tightening up the gas system. So, yeah, we are going to stress it. Before we get into some testing, I got an EOTech on here, and I wanted to go ahead and kind of see where it's patterning with slugs, my preferred load. So, anyways, I got a target with some black paint on there, and I'm going to see how well it's zeroed in. I've got 10 rounds to play this game, so see what happens. Okay, so I got the bullpup pretty much zeroed in. It's about 15 yards away, so it's hitting just a little bit low now, so that could be accounted for offset or whatever. So it's a couple inches low, not really too big of a deal in my opinion. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and machine gun through some birdshot now, so hopefully those loads were hot enough to satisfy the action a bit. And amazing enough, they actually feel a little lighter in this gun. A lot of people have complained that some of their other guns had lighter recoil. I'm noticing that this has lighter recoil than my 870. So anyways, just a little bit of a difference there. So anyways, let's get to it. For the rest of this, I'm just going to have this cheek rest down. I like to actually, if I can help it, I don't want to actually have a cheek weld, but I don't want to get punched in the face, so have firm contact but not like leaning on it, I guess you could say. Not welding, but having firm contact. That's not necessarily a cheek weld. Some people actually want to push into it, and that's not really me. Not with a shotgun. I need to be able to move around and stuff, so basically this is as good as it gets. It's not actually a weld, so to speak. So anyways, so failure to lock back. It is breaking in. The behavior is changing as far as the action is concerned, and I'm feeling a little bit of a difference. It's really not too bad. I think one of the reasons a lot of people perceive the recoil being a little off is look what this stock is doing. When I got this firearm, I had all the extensions on there at once, and it brought it down to an angle like at this level right here. So that axis being above where your shoulder is, far above, that can cause problems, and that can cause a lot of flip, and it can actually cause torquing into your shoulder, which can cause bruising. So it's basically you're getting like an Indian burn in your shoulder when you're shooting. That's not what I'm experiencing at all now. I'm feeling it going directly into my shoulder, so not really having much of an issue. So keep that in mind. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and load this up again. We'll get going. Alright. So, looks like we got a attempted double feed here. So, go ahead and this one's hooked on the extractor, actually. Ooh. So, looks like we're going to lose a few right here. There we go. Pull that out, and basically, I just have to reload them now. There's that. Not bad. So, yeah, the recoil does not really feel like it's all that much. It's more of a generous push, and it is a slightly sharper. But it's not as bad as like I feel like the 870 is. That could be because the gas offset, you know, taking it back a little bit. But regardless, it's really not as violent as I thought, especially with the hotter loads. The hotter loads were actually a little more dramatic in my 870 than in this. I was expecting a little bit more. So I think a lot of the reviewers' perspective was because they weren't taking this off. So they felt like they needed more of a length of pull, but in all reality, you don't really. I mean, I don't even have a sore shoulder, and I'm able to control it actually pretty well if I lean into it and grab hold of it. I'm not really worried about touching the barrel. It's not really an issue, especially on this side. And you know, you can rest your finger on here and kind of put it right here, but you know, everybody's going to do what they want to do. But as far as reloads are concerned, that's my next focus, kind of to finish this off. Well, lost a shell there. Didn't lose that shell. Don't you just love bullpups? I do. My cheek riser is coming loose. It was jiggling around. Might want to put a little thread lock on that. I believe somebody actually said that in the video, that would be a good idea. Alright, here we go again. Well, that shell didn't eject. Shouldn't be too big of an issue, but it's a fact. Yeah. Well, these don't seem to want to hang on to the shells all that well. Okay, so that's it for my day on the range, starting this thing off. So I had about 60 rounds, 60 shells that I slammed through this. It didn't really get as much as I would like. I'm going to have to get a 9 or 10 rounder. I believe also the 10 rounder that the Panzer Arms uses actually works with this, but I'll try to stick with the 9 rounder because I can still get 10 rounds and then 2 5-rounders as a reload. 20 shells on tap, not really too much to sneeze at. So anyways, it's actually been functioning pretty well, as you saw, now that it's broken in a bit. And I can understand that. As I said, you're working with recoil springs, you're working with a new gas system, so it can kind of take a little bit. And it's got a recoil spring trying to resist things. It's got an extractor that is still pretty tight. It can kind of hang on to things, which is what I've been seeing. It kind of is hanging on to it. So until that finish gets worn off of it and it polishes itself to perfection, it's not really going to be all that great, but it's on its way. So that's the important thing. So with all that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Check out my blog, linked in the description below. I'm going to be doing an article about how to get this thing started, lubrication points and stuff like that. And leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. And thanks a lot for watching. You guys have a good one.